Welcome to Live, Laugh, Talk. I'm your host, James Graham, and it's a privilege to be in your ear. In this episode, we will begin with the topic entitled Reinventing Yourself. Then we will transition to our segment, How Did We Get Here? Followed by our hobbies and special interest section, and then conclude with our sunflower message. If you have an idea, please send it to us at admin@livelaughtalk.com. We'd love to hear from you. In addition, if listening on Spotify, you can add a voice memo as well as comments and participate in our poll. Also, wherever it is that you listen to the podcast, please give us the highest rating that you can because we work so hard for you and we'd like to know that you appreciate it. The topic that we will begin with is entitled Reinventing Yourself. When I think about the topic of reinventing yourself, I literally think about myself. One time I had to do this out of necessity, but other times I had to do it because it was just frankly time to change. And the reinventing of yourself is not always easy. On a professional level, I would have to say that I've done that 4 times. When I first got out of college, I had one career path, and it was a lucrative one. But then I realized that I would never be able to own that business. It would always be that person, and I was making that person very wealthy. So I decided to reinvent myself, to do something completely different, open up a new business in a completely different field. But what did that require? Well, it required education. I had to go back to school to learn this new field. I had to then acquire new skills, use some of my own skill sets that I'd already used for years, but then acquire some new ones so that all of this would be enhanced. So I would be brand new. I had to also sell myself because I got scared, as anyone would. Anyone that's going out there in a new venture, they're doing something different, and they've got to change their whole way of thinking and their whole way of life, they're going to have some doubts and some fears. And I had that. So I had to sell myself. Then after that, I had to sell my family because those are my biggest supporters. So when we talk about this, I want individuals to know that we're not talking about something that you can just do and it's just a whimsical way. Not at all. It takes one to be very fearless to reinvent themselves. And we're talking about here on a professional level, but then there's also personal levels where we have to reinvent ourselves. Is there a hobby or something, not necessarily a hobby, I meant a habit that you would like to overcome? Well, in doing that, it calls for reinventing of oneself. We have to think a complete different way, take a complete different path, and say, I'm no longer going to do this, and follow through on it. And again, that takes buy in of ourselves, buy in of those around us. Because if those around us want us to be the same old person, then guess what we got to do with those people? We've got to show them the door. So reinvention is not easy, but what we will discuss is how it can be done, the methods that we may need to go about to get it done. And in addition to that, we will share experiences of individuals, including myself, who've done it. The first thing that we have to do, whether it's professional or personal, is do a self-assessment. We have to reflect on our skills, interests, and values. Identify what we want to change or improve in our lives. For me professionally, like I said, I went back to school. I had to change things. I had to have certain values that I had already, but then adopt those to the new occupation. And then I had to define my new career path. in a professional direction and make SMART goals. And SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Now, I've mentioned this before. It's nothing new to our listeners that they have to be smart. But in setting goals in a professional way, it's not easy. But it's even harder when we start talking about personal goals that we have to set in order to change ourselves, to reinvent ourselves personally. And individuals that do this, they're trying to make the necessary changes to save themselves. And again, oftentimes to save their families. Now, getting back to the professional side, when I had the skill developments, I needed to acquire new qualifications. So I didn't only just go back to school and learn things, but I had to be tested. I had to get licensed. All of this involved formal education. But there are some online courses and certifications that one can do and on the job training if you're trying to reinvent yourself. There's also networking. To build and expand our professional network, we need to attend industry events, connect with colleagues, and utilize online platforms like LinkedIn, for example. Also, our personal branding. We need to update our resume, our LinkedIn profile, and any other professional profiles to ensure that they reflect our new direction and emphasize relevant accomplishments. Seek internships, part time jobs, or freelance work in your new field to gain practical experience and build a portfolio. When I made my change, I had an opportunity to work with an individual along with me while I was owning my own business. There was an individual come in and mentor me. We want to work on our soft skills like communication, leadership, and adaptability, as these skills are valuable in any profession. Seek mentors, experienced professionals, those who are in our chosen field who can give guidance and support. Embracing change and being open to learning from setbacks or failures is invaluable because adaptability is the key when you're reinventing yourself. Then there's the marketing of oneself, applying for jobs, attending interviews, being proactive in showcasing your skills and expertise to potential employers or clients. Now, if we're talking about personal on a personal level, we have to look at ourselves and think about what is it that that man in the mirror needs to do. Do we need to seek outside help to help us to gain what we're trying to achieve? Same with professional. We may have a mentor or others who may be able to guide us along. As far as personal growth is, we want to make sure that we take away those things that we're trying to change. We can't keep them around us. Too many times we want to change, we want to make things different, but we keep doing the same thing. And that's the definition of insanity. We have to change course altogether. And as mentioned, we got to be adaptable. We got to keep changing. There's going to be setbacks, but we've got to adapt, change course on a personal level. In professional as well as personal, we have to stay updated. We have to learn new things and keep, if we're professional, being competitive in our new career. If it's personal, to keep ourselves isolated from individuals that can pull us down. Yes, we have to remember that reinventing ourselves is a journey, and it may take time, it may take effort, it may take perseverance, but it's essential for us to stay committed to our goals and be flexible as we approach and navigate the new path. In our lives, So we have to embrace change. So many people hate change. I was just talking to an individual who has a cell phone, and this individual changed to the new cell phone. So they didn't change operating systems. They just went from one in the same brand to another in the same brand. They just upgraded like 4 generations newer because they had the old version, really old version. Do you know when they got the new phone, they despised it? Oh, it's all on TV how awesome the new phone is. I have the new phone. I have found it to be amazing. But this person says, I just want to go back to my old phone. They hate change. Now, the old phone doesn't have any of the functionalities of the new one. It can't even be upgraded to the operating system that's out now. So they're using not only an old phone, but an old operating system. And for them, that was satisfactory. But see, for those of us who wish to reinvent ourselves, it can never be satisfactory to accept old. We have to be adaptable. We have to embrace change. We have to look at new opportunities and challenges and go there with a willingness to adapt so that we can stay relevant and grow in that chosen field. And it's hard, but we have to build a personal brand. Nowadays, branding is so important. So we've got to put ourselves out there on our social media. We have to showcase our knowledge and our unique qualities through online content, maybe even speaking engagements or writing articles. And you know what I do? I do it all the time on this show. I started off in the first segment. What did I ask you to do? I said, write in to admin at livelaughtalk.com. Why do I do that? Because I'm requesting your feedback. I want to know what you think. I want feedback from my mentors, from my peers, from my colleagues. Why? Why is because constructive criticism can help me to refine my skills and improve my personal journey, which is this podcast. Without it, I'm just going the same old course. I could be going down the wrong way if nobody tells me, hey, wait a minute. I see where we need to change something. I see where we need to fix this or that. And I've asked you for your feedback. You've given it to me. And if you go back and listen to the first show and now you listen to show number 55, you will see that I listened. I took heed. The show is completely different. Sounds different, is different. And that's all because I look to you for constructive criticism. And all of us have to do that if we're going to make the change. Now, when it comes to financial change, we go out there, we're starting that new business. We've got to consider the financial implications of that. See, when I said that, it wasn't always easy. It's not like I woke up one day and I said, I'm going to change career paths. I'm going to leave a lucrative job, go out here and do this on my own, and I'm going to be successful. Well, it took a lot of work. And along with work, it took a lot of prayer. It also took a team. One thing about me, anyone that knows me knows that I'm not alone. There's a whole entourage. And that entourage might not be walking along with me like in the movies or the show, but they're there. They're there for me to call upon. They're there for me to ask questions. They're there giving advice. They're there giving that criticism. And all of us have to think about those type of things. But in addition, we've got to save. We've got to budget to wisely support our transition during periods of uncertainty. Because when we go out there and we start that new thing, we reinvent ourselves. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So we've got to be adaptable. But we've also got to be able to save, budget, and manage those times when it's going to get harder than we ever imagined. We mentioned networking, but it can't be mentioned enough. We have to be out there at industry conferences. We have to join relevant online communities. I do that with podcasts. I have so many individuals that friends on social media or whatever else, we share ideas, we come on each other's shows. See, what we're doing is we are managing ourselves in a way that we're networking strategically. That's necessary. And we have to be patient and persistent. We have to have a positive attitude and be persistent in our efforts because setbacks are going to come. But professional reinvention can happen. It may be a long process, but it can happen. And as mentioned, we want to stay up to date on the news, on the trends. We want to use our time efficiently. We want to prioritize tasks that contribute to our professional development, setting a daily or weekly schedule so that we can stay on task. And as always, we want to recognize and celebrate our achievements, no matter how small. Acknowledging your progress can boost your confidence and your motivation. Now, what about personally? Yes, we're going to have setbacks personally, but we want to be able to celebrate our successes. We don't concentrate on the setbacks, we celebrate the success. We manage our time wisely, making sure that we're doing the things necessary to move forward and not spending a lot of time dwelling on the past or what we were doing. We want to stay informed. If we're leaving something in our lives, some habit or whatever it is, we want to talk to individuals that have gone through this before. We want to look at trends. We want to also look online because there's a lot of help out there to get us through. We want to be patient with ourselves and we want to persist. In addition, we want to surround ourselves with those that will give us the feedback that we need and that won't let us fall again. And even if we fall, they're there to pick us up. And that's who we want to have around us. So whether we're reinventing ourselves professionally or personally, remember, it's a journey. It requires dedication, resilience, and a willingness to learn and change. Let's keep refining our goals and strategies as we continue to progress and not be afraid to seek support. If we do all of these things and we make sure that we follow the course each and every way, we will find ourselves reinventing with success. Child abuse in this country has widespread effects. Now, I want to start off with the National Sex Assault Hotline, 1-800-656-HOPE. You see, sexual assault of children is a widespread problem, widespread in this country. Every 9 minutes, Child Protective Services substantiates or finds substantial evidence for a claim of child sexual abuse. Every 9 minutes. It's a deeply serious and sensitive topic. And we've got to approach it with care and understanding. It refers to any kind of sexual contact or interaction between an adult or older individual and a child. Typically a child under the age of consent. So that varies in some states. The act is illegal and considered a severe form of child abuse. And some things that we want to consider are its effects on the child. There's physical and psychological trauma. Child molestation can lead to both physical and emotional harm. Victims may experience physical injuries or sexually transmitted infections, and the emotional trauma can include anxiety, depression, post traumatic stress disorder, and a wide range of other mental health issues. The long term consequences are that the child molestation can extend into adulthood, impacting their relationships, self esteem, and their overall well being. Survivors may even struggle with trust, intimacy, and their sense of safety. Many survivors carry a heavy burden of guilt and shame, which can be perpetuated by societal stigmatization and the misplaced belief that they were somehow responsible for the abuse. Things like this need to be reported. If it's seen, it needs to be reported because it is a crime and perpetrators need to face the serious legal consequences, whether that's imprisonment or registration as a sex offender. It is essential. If we suspect or know of a child molestation, it's crucial to report it to the appropriate authorities. Child protective services, law enforcement, and organizations that specialize in child abuse prevention can help. But what can we do with these children? How can we help? There needs to be support, there needs to be treatment, therapy, and counseling. Our survivors often benefit from professional therapy and counseling to address the trauma and its psychological effects. In addition, a strong support system is needed, including family and friends. This can be invaluable in helping survivors heal. Education and awareness is needed. We need to educate adults and children about recognizing and reporting abuse, as well as creating safe environments for these kids. Many states have legal frameworks in place to place to protect, I should say, children from abuse, including mandatory reporting requirements for certain professionals who work with children and extreme background checks. So if you, let's just say, got a job as an educator, you will find an extensive background check. They will check every state you ever lived in to make sure that they find nothing of the sort. That's crucial as well because child molestation is a grave violation of a child's rights and well being. So it's crucial to provide support and resources to these survivors, hold perpetrators accountable, and work towards creating a safer environment for all children. So if we suspect a molestation, seek assistance from professionals and authorities to ensure the child's safety and well being. And why are we even talking about this today? Well, of course, because no one will say, well, child molestation is not important. But oftentimes, many of us don't know the numbers. Within the year, Child Protective Services agencies substantiated or found strong evidence to indicate that 57,329 children were victims of sexual abuse. 1 in 9 girls, 1 in 20 boys under the age of 18 experience sexual abuse or assault. 82% of all victims under the age of 18 are female. So we need to talk to our young ladies. help them to be careful. Females ages 16 to 19 are 4 times more likely than the general population to be victims of rape, attempted rape, or sexual assault. The effects of child abuse can be long lasting, as we mentioned, affecting mental health. Victims are more likely than non victims to experience symptoms of drug abuse or develop a habit of drug abuse. They're 4 times more likely. 4 times more likely to experience PTSD as adults, and about 3 times more likely to experience a major depressive episode as adults. Of all the victims under the age of 18, 2 out of 3 are 12 to 17, which means 34% are 12 and under. So, who are the perpetrators? Out of the sexual abuse cases reported to CPS, 47,000 men, and 5,000 women were alleged perpetrators. And 88% of the sexual abuse claims substantiated, the perpetrator is male. In 9% of the cases, they're female. That leaves 3%, and those are unknown. Child molestation can take various forms, including fondling, sexual harassment, non consensual sexual acts, child pornography, grooming, and more. So it's important to understand these distinctions to identify and report potential abuse. Now, when we say grooming, what is that? Well, it's a manipulative process where the perpetrator builds a relationship of trust with the child and their caregivers. Then they often proceed with the act of molestation, making it harder to detect. In many jurisdictions, Child Protective Services is responsible for investigating and responding to reports of child abuse. They work to ensure the child's safety and well being, and they need to be notified if we suspect of anything wrong. Professionals such as teachers, healthcare workers, and counselors are mandated by law to report suspected child abuse. This legal obligation is in place to ensure that cases are never overlooked. Healing and recovery from child molestation is going to be complex, and it's an individualized process. Survivors may require various forms of therapy, including cognitive behavioral therapy and trauma focused therapy to address the emotional scars. Yet, family members and caregivers play a crucial role in supporting child molestation survivors as well. Providing a safe and non judgmental environment can significantly aid in the healing process. And you know what? We have to work hard to prevent recurrence. If the perpetrator is a family member or known to the child, steps should be taken to prevent further contact and protect that child from future harm. Promoting awareness and education about child molestation is vital. Schools, communities, organizations often provide resources and training to help individuals to recognize and report abuse. Yes, it's important to approach this topic with empathy and understanding, as survivors may face a lifelong struggle to overcome the emotional and psychological impact of being molested. Additionally, a collective effort from society, authorities, and individuals is essential to prevent such abuse and support survivors on their path to recovery. Yet the question remains because there's so many. Every 9 minutes, a child is molested. So that means by the time you listen to this segment and got to the end of it, there have been at least 4 molestations by this time, and we're not done with the program. So the question remains, how did we get here? Traveling as a hobby is a wonderful and enriching experience. I know friends of mine who have traveled all over the world. I myself have gone outside of the country a couple of times. Went to Poland, also went to Switzerland, and I spent several days, or weeks, I should say, in those places. But I have friends of mine that travel abroad all the time. Also, we don't want to count out traveling right here in this country. So many things to see. But whether it's abroad, it's here, traveling allows us to explore new places, cultures, landscapes. It's an opportunity to discover the world beyond your comfort zone. We have the opportunity to get educational advice. We can immerse ourselves in history, art, language, and traditions of different regions. It challenges us to adapt to new situations, fostering personal growth, self reliance, and problem solving skills. Exposure to different cultures and perspectives can broaden our worldview, making us more open minded and empathetic. I know that once I went abroad and I was able to see things that I only read about before, it gave me a wide perspective. For instance, I give you an example. I've also always have been one who hated racism. I grew up in a family that we didn't allow racism. Yes, my parents worked hard because the racism was all around us outside. But when we got inside that house, we could discuss what we may have experienced. But of course, being a racist in the household was not tolerated. And I knew many things from a black perspective. But then when I traveled abroad, when I went to Poland, and I was able to go to Warsaw, and I saw this monument that it was huge. It was as big as a football field. And it said on the top of it, it says in Polish, do not let what happened to us happen to you. And inside that monument was ashes, ashes of the people who lost their lives during the Holocaust. You see, what I got was a personal growth. I got to learn, I got an education on what I already knew that racism needs to be eradicated. But being able to step outside of being an African American and look at what happened to other races helped me to gain a whole new perspective. And I tell you, it was hard to go on those tours. We actually went to concentration camps, and the, the smell of gasoline, where these people were in gas chambers, was still there. You could still smell the gas. I don't want to get into a sad conversation as this is usually our happy one when we talk about our hobbies. But I just thought it would be interesting to mention when we got into personal growth and we got into learning a broader perspective to bring up what happened to me as I was a very young man. And so I'm able to understand pain on an even deeper level through travel. But travel can also be something that could be relaxation and stress relief. I have a friend of mine, she stays tense until she goes somewhere. She went to Thailand recently, came home with all types of souvenirs, and we'll talk about that a little later. But her travel gave her stress relief. She got a break from her daily routine and was able to relax, do self care. And she created memories as we all can. I saw her walking with the elephants in videos, See, all of these things can create lasting memories and experiences that you can cherish for a lifetime. For those seeking excitement, travel can include adventure activities like hiking, diving, or exploring remote areas. Trying new foods and flavors is a significant part of travel, making it a culinary adventure. You can always have the opportunity too to meet new people with diverse backgrounds and build connections around the world. And as small as the world is now with FaceTime, social media, what a joy it would be to have friends in other countries. Back in the day, we used to say pen pals, but now we can be a lot more than that. It could be as though we're sitting right next to them with social media and FaceTime. You could combine travel with other hobbies like photography, writing, sports to make your journeys even more enjoyable. And sometimes a change of scenery and environment can rejuvenate your spirit and energy. Travel can help you appreciate home. I know by the time I was gone for almost a month, I was ready to come home. I literally got off the plane and kissed the ground. I enjoyed my trip, but I also appreciated coming back because then I was able to see the world around me from a fresh perspective. The process of planning a trip, choosing destinations, to arranging accommodations and activities can be a hobby within itself. It can be a challenge. I know a person that is so proficient at that they can set up an entire schedule, have all traveling arrangements taken care of as far as cars, hotels, everything done. And when you're on this trip with her, you don't even feel like she's outlined everything. It just feels like one big happy journey. You don't feel like you have an agenda. You got to go here, you got to go there. She's just planned it out so well that it just all floats together. I love traveling with people like that. In addition, we want to be responsible when we travel abroad. We want to make sure that we understand the laws of that culture. And not only the laws, but also the customs. So that we don't get ourselves in a position where we're just doing what isn't reasonable. And we mentioned earlier about collecting souvenirs. Well, I had a friend that went to Thailand. She come back with these beautiful T-shirts for me with elephants on them. And then she had this ring holder made like an elephant, just absolutely beautiful. And they're treasures for me. And I didn't even go over it. So whether you're exploring distant countries or taking weekend getaways, traveling as a hobby can be a fulfilling and lifelong pursuit that offers a wide range of experiences and opportunities for personal growth. It allows you to discover the world, connect with people, and create a tapestry of memories that shape your life. So, hopefully, one day we will get on that plane, that train, or that automobile together and see ourselves traveling, enjoying ourselves, but also learning and growing, just as traveling can do. Make us better people. Our sunflower message is Love is All You Need by the Beatles. It reads, love, love, love. There's nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say. But you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. Nothing you can make that can't be made. No one you can save that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love is all you need. There's nothing you can know that isn't known. Nothing you can see that isn't shown. There's nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love is all you need. On Cash App at $ Live Laugh Talk, on Twitter at Live Laugh Talker, also on Spotify, and now on the other platforms on Apple. As such, you can click support and support the podcast on any platform now. We ask that you do that, as everything is used for the podcast. There are other expenses, and there are new expenses to acquire because we're going to tamper with video. We're still working on that, but all of that costs money with new devices that's going to need to be there so that you'll be able to now see us here in studio. I don't know if that's going to be good or bad. We're going to find out, but the expenses are there. We do appreciate what you could send. Remember to rate us the highest on your podcast platform and tell your friends, family, and colleagues about us. Also, go to Etsy and search for How Did We Get Here so that you can get your merchandise. Yes, you had a chance to meet the makers of the merchandise, Andrew and Sparkle, in our 50th anniversary, our 50th episode show. Not an anniversary. I keep wanting to say that. We ain't been around 50 years. 50th episode. You had a chance to meet them. They're so sweet. They're a wonderful couple. They created the merchandise, and it supports the show. But in addition to just creating it and us buying something, let's wear it. Because when people see the Live, Laugh, Talk, and they see the How Did We Get Here, they're going to ask questions. And it's some beautiful merchandise. So you'll be able to wear it, use the coffee mugs, use the tote bags, and be able to tell people, hey, this podcast is the one I listen to. You could be that person in the office who knows the cool podcast. In addition, we like to mention that our dear friend, Darius Ford, who has come on this show, he's been a guest. He's also been one who has come on this show and did the entire show with me. And he's been on before, also as of late, I should say, in the 50th episode, and came on to congratulate us. He has started his own podcast, which I am so elated. It's a wonderful podcast. I think that you guys enjoyed him on this show, and he's just carrying it over. So in a way, I just feel like we're growing because we're having those of us who come on the show together, and now they just pivot right off into their own show. So I'm going to tell you the name of it. The name of it, I mentioned it in the 50th episode. It is Frankly Ford. That's Frankly Ford. You can find it wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that's on Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever. So you will enjoy the episodes. I know that I do. I've listened to each one of them at least 5 to 6 times. And I learned something each time. The thing about Darius is you're going to learn. He's not only a wonderful linguist, but he's an educator. And he has a beautiful voice. It's melodic, as I've mentioned before. Also, don't forget, we have on Mondays the His and Hers. Live, Laugh, Talks, His and Hers with Miko. She's with us. And I know a lot of people like that last episode. They got a chance to hear how she and I talk on the phone. They got a chance to, you guys got a chance to just, take a fly on the walls approach. And some of you thought it was hilarious how we not only get sarcastic with each other and all of that, but we joke around, but we're serious about our topics. And we love each other. So it's not like there's some hatred or some of those debate shows you see on TV where they're kicking chairs and turning tables over. No, it's not that kind of situation. We enjoy the debate, but we enjoy each other most of all. And that show comes out on Mondays. I want to remind everybody it's on Monday and it's a separate show. So on Monday, 2 shows drop. So you have Monday's show, the regular Live, Laugh, Talk, with the 4 episodes as we've just had today. And then you have a complete other show named His and Hers. So that means that now there are 4 shows in the week. We're growing, and that's all because of you. So this is James and George's baby boy signing off. And as you know, I can't wait to talk with you again soon.